3 days into the silent treatment, Derrick, my fiancé and CEO, greenlit his assistant's pitch for a self-driving road trip. He expected me to flip, like always. I didn't. A month later he came back and saw it. I wasn't the same. He backed Molly, stole my project, and thought I'd explode. I didn't. I just helped her draft the proposal. He trashed everything I built, just so she could snag her year-end bonus. I didn't fight back. Took the blame, took the hit. Molly was all smug. See? Told you. You can't go at Yara head-on. Give her the silent treatment, she folds. She's scared of losing you. That's why she's playing nice. Derrick ate it up. Called her smart. Then he pulled me aside, offered a raise, a promotion, even a fancy wedding. First time he'd ever brought it up. But he missed one detail. He'd already signed off on my resignation while he was off playing road trip king. And I'd already dumped him. That was it. Clean cut. Nothing left. Chapter 1. Yara, Mr. Cromwell needs this proposal ASAP. Sorry to bug you, but finish it before you head out. Molly Leach, Derrick's assistant, dropped a fat stack of papers on my desk, all chipper like we were besties. I took them. Got it. She wasn't done. Still smiling, she threw in. Mr. Cromwell and I have a client meeting later. Just leave the docs on his desk. Oh, and tidy up his office before you go. Then she strutted off like she owned the floor. Heels clicking, mood sky high. Around me the office fell quiet. My coworkers shot me that awkward look, half pity, half helpless. Everyone knew Derrick Cromwell, CEO of Vantral Corp, was my fiancé. Everyone also knew he blatantly played favorites, and Molly was his number one. He'd yanked her from another firm, made her director, then handed her $1 million project I'd busted 2 months bringing in and prepping. When I pushed back, he called a team vote, thinking everyone would back him. Wrong. The whole team voted for me, except him. Molly got 1 vote. He lost it. Accused me of stirring up cliques. Didn't just take the project away. He demoted me in front of everyone and slashed the salaries of the people who'd backed me. Nobody dared speak up. Later, he apologized. Said didn't want it to look like favoritism. Claimed Molly might feel left out. I used to believe that crap. Now, it's a joke. Molly couldn't even keep up with our interns. Didn't want it to look like favoritism. Please. He was straight up playing favorites. Everyone saw it but him. I heard footsteps upstairs and looked up. Derrick. He showed up at the stairwell, glanced my way, then walked out without saying a word. Changed into some casual suit. Even from here, I caught that cedar cologne. He never used to wear cologne. That one. Molly's gift. Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. He'd been pulling this kind of stuff for years. It started after I found their goodnight texts. Couldn't stay quiet, I confronted him. Chapter 2. Derrick said I was being petty. Then, like it proved some point, he used it as an excuse to make it official, and moved Molly to work directly under him. The more upset I got, the harder he leaned in, dragging her to every social event, serving her food, even wiping her mouth at company dinners. When we fought, he'd ice me out. When I apologized, he'd round up his buddies to lecture me like I was some jealous mess. For a while, I actually blamed myself. Thought maybe I wasn't generous enough. Thought maybe that's why we ended up here. But on day 3 of one of his silent treatments, when I was too sick to even sit up and he still packed his bags for a trip with Molly, I gave up. That's when it hit me. He wasn't trying to be noble. He just used my pettiness as a shield so he could keep doing what he wanted without feeling guilty. Even if I hadn't caught those late-night chats, he would have just found another excuse to be with her. After their latest business trip, they were still grabbing dinner, drinks, playing tennis, same routine. But something between them had changed. I could feel it. Not that it mattered. 5 years together, and it was done. This whole mess had dragged on long enough. I was the last one in the office, finishing up the proposal. Checked my phone. Molly had been busy posting. Candlelit dinner at some fancy spot. 2 plates of steak. Derrick, all polished and perfect, cutting hers for her. Caption. Steak cut by the CEO himself. It has to taste better. The comments were full of heart emojis and fangirling. A few clueless people even asked when the wedding was. Derrick replied with 3 dots. Molly followed up with a cheeky emoji. No clarificación. Just like always. But this time, I didn't blow up. Didn't call him. Didn't get scolded for overreacting. I just texted him. Proposal's done. Dropped the docs in his office, refilled the water like he asked, then drove home. The second I walked in, my phone rang, Derrick's number. I picked up, but it wasn't him. Yara, it's Molly. Thanks for your help with the project. I'll treat you to dinner sometime. Her voice was all sugar. Before I could answer, Derrick cut in. No need to thank her. It's her job. Molly teased. Mr. Cromwell, she's your fiancé. Can't you talk to her a little nicer? They sounded like the real couple. I let out a quiet laugh. Derrick, who used to freak out if I even glanced at his phone, now handed it to Molly like it was no big deal. And honestly, I felt weirdly calm. What used to feel like the end of the world suddenly felt small. They kept joking for a bit. Then Derrick finally remembered I was still on the line. I'll be back soon. No need to wait, get some rest. Then he hung up. His soon usually meant 4 or 5 hours. I used to pace the whole time, worried sick. But this time, I didn't bother. I just walked to the study and looked at the calendar on my desk. Chapter 3. Not long ago, Derrick and Molly turned a business trip into a vacation. While they were off playing house, I slipped in my resignation. Derrick was too distracted to notice. He approved it without even reading. 3 more days. Once the handover's done, I'm out. I paused, then called Prof. Harrington, my old research supervisor, now oversees at a top institute. Back when I graduated, I landed a high-tier spot there straight out the gate. But Derrick said he needed help starting his company, and like an idiot, I dropped everything and ran back to Arlencia. Professor Harrington told me not to. I didn't listen. Looking back now, yeah, I was dumb. Feelings? They shift. Career? That never stabs you in the back. When the call went through, I explained why I was reaching out. I braced for a lecture. Instead, Professor Harrington sighed. I already heard. Was thinking about asking you to come back. But this time, are you actually sure? I'm sure. The resignation's done. Resignation? What resignation? The voice didn't come from the phone. I turned. Derrick stood in the doorway. The call had ended. I locked my phone without a word. While I was still trying to figure out what to say, his phone buzzed. Molly again. She'd found a stray kitten and stopped to buy it a sausage. So cute, Derrick said in a voice message. She shot back right away. The kitten's cute or I'm cute? Then came a selfie, her holding the kitten, pouting with a peace sign. Derrick smiled. The kitten's cute, but you're cuter. Then, like suddenly remembering I existed, his face shut down. He turned to me all cold. Didn't I tell you to get some rest? Why are you still up? The tone shift was whiplash. Nothing like how he talked to her. And he'd already forgotten I said I resigned. I gave a faint smile. Just wrapping up a few things. He frowned deeper. It's late. What's even left? You seriously need to manage your time better, Yara. This procrastination thing is getting out of hand. I didn't bother saying it was his constant last-minute crap that caused it. No arguing. No justifying. I stayed quiet. He didn't push. Just walked off to the bedroom. A minute later, I heard him laughing. Like actually laughing. Hadn't heard that sound in forever. He only laughed like that with Molly. I tuned it out, sat at my desk, and pulled out some research journals I hadn't finished. The institute had changed a lot in 5 years. Even with Professor Harrington backing me, I'd have to prove I still had it. Good thing my foundation was solid. I'd catch up fast. You're reading research journals? I hadn't even heard him come back in. He picked one up, flipped through it, then tossed it back with a smirk. Why are you reading this stuff? Do you even get it? I stacked the papers. Just browsing. Chapter 4. I asked. Did you need something? Back then, I used to light up when Derrick dropped by just to chat. Not this time. He froze like he didn't expect me to be so blunt. His face shifted, awkward, like he'd stepped in something. Yeah, actually. Molly just wrapped up a big project, so I'm thinking of promoting her. Should give the team a boost. What do you think? He looked straight at me. Sure, he said he wanted my opinion, but we both knew that wasn't true. I just nodded. I don't mind. Then he added, but rewards should come with penalties too. You haven't finished a project in a while, so I'm thinking of moving you to a lower level position. Just for now. Once things calm down, I'll bring you back. Don't worry, it's for the greater good. You're my fiancé, so you'll support me, right? I laughed silently in my head. He still had no clue I'd already quit. He could read Molly like a book, knew her mood from a glance, remembered every little thing she liked. But his own fiancé handed him a resignation letter he signed, and he didn't even realize. That's what it looks like when someone just doesn't care. You can tell in 1 or 2 lines. When I stayed quiet, Derrick assumed I was gearing up to argue, like always. His face darkened. Even if you disagree, it won't change anything. The announcement's already out. Your office belongs to Molly now. Either accept the transfer or leave, he said. But just a heads up, the company's going public. Might want to think twice before walking away. He really thought I'd stay. It wasn't new. I'd been shoved down the ladder more than once. All because of Molly's petty comments. I took it back then. Derrick figured I'd cling even harder now. I gave a dry smile. I didn't say I disagreed. Then it's settled, Derrick said, sounding relieved. To him, silence meant agreement. He was halfway out the door when he turned back. Didn't you used to keep our photo on your desk? Where'd it go? That's when it hit me. It wasn't just the desk. I'd plastered our photos everywhere. My phone, the bedroom wall, my wallet. Little reminders that no matter how cold he got, he still loved me. He used to laugh at that. Said I was obsessed with those silly little things. He never got it. Never understood they were the only thing keeping me from walking. Later, I saw them for what they were, proof of how pathetic I'd been. I broke the frame, I said flatly. Put it away. He frowned, immediately scanning the floor. Try not to be so clumsy. Make sure you cleaned it up. Don't want anyone getting hurt. His tone softened a little, probably because I wasn't arguing. Then he left the study. I watched him go and almost laughed. That warning wasn't about me. It was about not letting Molly get hurt. This was supposed to be our home. I'd been the one keeping it together, until a few months ago, when I found a hair tie in his study, pillows on our bed, out of place. That's when I knew. Molly had been here. More than once. Chapter 5. I called him out. I had to. Like he saw it coming, he slapped down proof they were just talking business, then turned it on me, calling me jealous and dramatic. To punish me for overthinking, he started bringing Molly over like it was nothing. She didn't even try to hide the way she looked at me, like she wanted a fight. Thing is, they never technically crossed a line. After a while, I started questioning myself. Every day felt like a loop of, what if it's just me? Honestly, if I'd put that energy into literally anything else, I'd be way ahead by now. The next morning, Derrick proudly announced Molly's big promotion, right after dropping me to the bottom rung. He hesitated at first, but once I stayed chill and acted like it didn't faze me, he bought it. Thought I'd accepted everything. He was riding high. So was I. While he threw Molly a fancy banquet, I was getting my visa approved. While they chilled at an amusement park, I was packing. One suitcase, that's all I needed. While they toasted clients at some club, I wrapped up my final handover. 2 days later, my last day at Vantral, I wrapped things up with Sandy in HR. Without even glancing up, she said, before you go, stop by the CEO's office. Mr. Cromwell wants to see you. I was about to say no, then stopped. I was flying out tonight. If Derrick went out with Molly like usual, this'd be it. No more run-ins. No more anything. After 5 years, maybe a final goodbye was fair. So I headed upstairs. Right as I reached for the door, I caught a glimpse through the glass. Derrick kicked back on the couch, and Molly, in a long dress, was lying with her head in his lap. Way too close for just business. He said something and she cracked up, covering her mouth like it was the funniest thing ever. I froze. Was about to turn back when Molly saw me. She shot up, startled. Yara, what are you doing here? Derrick's jaw clenched. He yanked his wrinkled suit into place and barked. Yara Yenford, who said you could come in? Didn't I tell you not to come upstairs without permission? He had said that once, but back then, the rule was no one but me could disturb him up here. I used to think that meant I was special. Now I knew better. Not that it mattered. I was already out the door. I kept my voice steady. Sandy said you were looking for me. He scoffed, stomped to his desk, and hit the intercom. Sandy showed up minutes later. You told Yara I needed to see her? He asked, cold as ice. Sandy clocked the tension. She glanced at Derrick's face, then at Molly's guilty one, and hesitated, way too long before mumbling, I don't remember. Derrick let out a dry laugh, smug as hell. He turned to me, all frost and venom. Wow, Yara. Thought you'd grown up, but you're still the same, always plotting. If you're that paranoid, why not just move in upstairs? Better yet, plant a camera on me. Then you can stalk me 24/7, and finally give that nosy little brain of yours a break. Chapter 6. Nothing I said would have changed a thing. Mr. Cromwell, don't be upset. I'm sure Yara just got a little emotional because she cares, Molly cooed, running a hand down his back like she owned the place. Then she turned to me, all fake sweet. Yara, don't get the wrong idea. I just had a headache, and Mr. Cromwell was helping me relax so I could keep working. Everything we do is for the company. You really don't need to overthink it. I didn't know the full story, but I could feel it. This whole setup had Molly's fingerprints all over it. Sandy, always the diplomatic one, knew better than to speak up. Molly was Derrick's favorite, and she wasn't about to get caught in the crossfire. Not that it mattered. Even if she told the truth, Derrick wouldn't have listened. I kept quiet, but he wasn't finished. Still pissed, he snapped. No need to explain anything to her. Personal matters stay personal. This is a workplace. We follow the rules. Since Yara broke protocol, cancel her bonus this month. And dock half her salary. Sandy blurted. Mr. Cromwell, Yara already. She probably meant to mention my resignation, but Derrick shut her down with a glare. I don't want to hear excuses. Do as I said. Sandy didn't push it. She just turned and walked out. I was about to do the same when Derrick suddenly called out. He sounded calmer now. Maybe yelling helped him feel better. Yara, I'm not targeting you. These are just the rules. If I don't enforce them, no one will respect them. Molly jumped in, all helpful. Exactly, Yara. Next time something's unclear, just ask Mr. Cromwell. Or me if he's busy. Derrick nodded like she'd solved world peace. Molly really puts the company first. She knows more than anyone. Then he turned on me cold. Unlike you. Always jealous. Always dramatic. Maybe you should try learning something from Molly. Learn what? How to slide into someone else's relationship. Fake innocence while poking the bear? Steal credit? Sabotage others? I let out a quiet laugh. No point calling her out. Derrick took my silence the wrong way. Thought I was feeling guilty. He stepped closer, reached up to adjust my collar. Nothing was wrong with it, and said, all serious. I know what this drama's really about. I'm disappointed in you. But hey, you've matured. So here's your reward. Let's take our wedding photos tomorrow. We'll move the date up. But don't get too excited. Marriage is just marriage. I cut in, laughing under my breath. I brushed off his hand and handed him the resignation form I'd prepped. Derrick, we're done. I've already quit. Starting today, we have nothing to do with each other. Chapter 7. For a full 10 seconds, the office was dead silent. Derrick stared at the resignation paper in my hand like it was written in a foreign language. His eyes darted from the paper to my face, searching for the punchline. When he didn't find one, his shock morphed into an ugly, condescending smirk. Is this a joke? He scoffed, not even making a move to take the paper. Yara, I just offered to move up the wedding, and this is how you act. You're actually throwing a tantrum over a perfectly standard workplace reprimand? It's not a tantrum, Derrick. It's a fact, I said, my voice steady. I dropped the paper onto his immaculate mahogany desk. It landed right next to Molly's hand. You signed it 3 weeks ago. Sandy in HR has already processed my exit. I don't work for you anymore. Molly blinked, her fake sweet facade cracking for a split second before she recovered. Yara, don't say things you don't mean. Mr. Cromwell is giving you a chance. You know how hard it is out there right now. You shouldn't leverage your relationship just because you're unhappy with a project transfer. I looked at her. Really looked at her. For months, this woman had been the bane of my existence, the ghost haunting my relationship, the thief of my hard work. But looking at her now, she was just a girl in a cheap dress clinging to a sinking ship. Keep the project, Molly, I said simply. And keep him. Derrick's face turned violently red. The smirk vanished, replaced by a dark, simmering fury. Fine. You want to play this game? Play it. But don't expect me to come running when you realize what you've thrown away. If you walk out that door, Yara, you are cut off. No company car, no apartment access, nothing. I'm not humoring this. The keys are on the kitchen counter at the apartment. The company car is in the basement lot, level B2. I rattled off effortlessly. My personal belongings were cleared out of the apartment yesterday. I've left nothing behind. Derrick froze. The absolute certainty in my voice finally pierced through his ego. Wait. You cleared out your things. I didn't stick around to watch him process it. I turned on my heel and walked out. Yara. Derrick barked behind me. Yara, stop right now. If you leave, I'm not calling you. I let the glass door swing shut behind me. As I walked to the elevator, my phone buzzed. A text from Derrick. You have exactly 1 hour to stop this nonsense and come back to my office. I'm not playing this silent treatment game with you. I didn't reply. I opened his contact, hit block, and watched his name disappear from my life. I did the same to Molly. Then, I uninstalled the Vantral Corp internal messaging app. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in, pressed the lobby button, and watched the executive floor disappear. For the first time in 5 years, I could finally breathe. Chapter 8. 3 months later. Brilliant work, Yara. Absolutely brilliant. Professor. Harrington adjusted his glasses, beaming at the data models glowing on the monitor. Your algorithmic approach to neural network predictive driving is light years ahead of what the private sector is fumbling with right now. If we publish this by winter, the Institute will have a monopoly on the patents. I leaned back in my chair, stretching my arms. Outside the laboratory window, the dreary gray skyline of Arlencia was replaced by the sun-drenched, pristine campus of the Zurich Advanced Tech Institute. Thanks, Professor. But we need to run it through the live environment stress tests before we get ahead of ourselves, I said, taking a sip of my coffee. Modest as always, he chuckled. By the way, I heard some interesting news from back home. Vantral Corp delayed their IPO. I paused, the coffee cup halfway to my mouth. Really? Yes. Word on the street is their flagship self-driving road trip feature. The one they promised investors. Failed catastrophically in beta testing. Kept crashing into digital guardrails. They've burned through millions trying to patch it. Professor Harrington gave me a knowing look. Didn't you lay the groundwork for that project? I did, I said, a slow, satisfied smile spreading across my face. But I didn't finish it. I handed it over to a highly competent director. Molly. When Derrick had transferred the project to her, she had the shiny proposal, the marketing pitch, and my preliminary notes. But she didn't have the core algorithms. She didn't know the math. She thought tech was just a series of buzzwords you pitched to investors over expensive stakes. I imagined her sitting in my old chair, staring at thousands of lines of code she couldn't comprehend, trying to flirt her way out of a compiling error. Well, Prof. Harrington said, clapping his hands together. Their loss is our monumental gain. Pack your bags, Yara. We're presenting this at the Global Tech Summit in San Francisco next week. It's time you made your debut. Thousands of miles away, in the penthouse office of Vantral Corp, the atmosphere was toxic. Derrick hurled a thick binder across the room. It slammed into the glass wall, paper scattering like dead leaves. What do you mean it failed again? He roared. Standing in front of his desk, the lead engineering manager swallowed hard, sweating through his shirt. Mr. Cromwell, the baseline architecture is flawed. We're missing the localized predictive models. Without the integration formulas, the AI can't distinguish between a shadow and a solid object at high speeds. Then write the damn formulas. We didn't design the original framework, sir. Yara did. And her notes end right before the integration phase. Director Leach told us she had the rest of the deliverables, but... The manager glanced nervously at Molly, who was sitting on the couch, looking pale and thoroughly out of her depth. Derrick snapped his head toward her. Molly, where are the rest of Yara's files? Molly practically shrank into the leather cushions. I don't know, Derrick. I mean, Mr. Cromwell. I looked through her computer. There's nothing there. She must have deleted them out of spite. She sabotaged us. She handed over exactly what was required by HR, the manager muttered under his breath, though loud enough for Derrick to hear. The rest was in her head. Derrick pinched the bridge of his nose, a blinding migraine pulsing behind his eyes. The IPO was on the line. Investors were breathing down his neck. He had promised them a revolutionary self-driving AI, and right now, his cars couldn't even navigate a parking lot. Just call her, Derrick growled. Molly flinched. What? Call Yara. Tell her to come in and fix this. Double her salary. Whatever it takes. The manager shifted awkwardly. Sir, Yara doesn't work here anymore. I know she doesn't work here. Derrick exploded. She's been throwing this extended tantrum for 3 months. I gave her space to cool off. Now it's time to end it. Call her. Molly pulled out her phone, her hands trembling. She dialed my number. Put it on speaker. The number you have reached is unavailable. She changed her number, Molly whispered. Derrick snatched the phone from his desk and dialed my old number. Same automated message. A cold, heavy knot formed in his stomach. For 3 months, he had convinced himself I was staying with a friend, waiting for him to apologize. He hadn't bothered to check my apartment. He hadn't bothered to look for me. He was too proud. He hit the intercom. Sandy, get in here. HR Director Sandy entered a moment later. Her face completely neutral. Give me Yara Yenford's current contact information. And her new address, Derrick demanded. Sandy adjusted her glasses. I don't have that, Mr. Cromwell. You're HR. What do you mean you don't have it? Ms. Yenford terminated her residency in Arlencia. Her emergency contact was updated to a foreign number, which has since been disconnected. As per her exit interview, she relocated internationally. She is no longer a citizen of this tax bracket. Derrick felt the blood drain from his face. Internationally? Where? She didn't disclose, Sandy said cleanly. Is there anything else, sir? Derrick stared at the empty doorway long after Sandy left. For the first time, the reality of the situation crashed down on him, suffocating and absolute. I wasn't pouting. I wasn't playing hard to get. I was gone. Chapter 9. The Global Tech Summit in San Francisco was a sea of venture capitalists, tech giants, and desperate startups. Derrick walked the convention floor, his jaw tight. Vantral Corp stock had taken a massive hit after leaks of their failed beta tests hit the press. He was here to find a miracle, a third-party AI firm he could acquire to patch the holes in his failing project. Beside him, Molly trotted along in stilettos, looking completely out of place. She kept trying to hand out Vantral business cards, but most executives brushed her off. Her charm didn't work on people who actually understood the industry. Derrick, look. Molly pointed toward the main exhibition stage. The Zurich Advanced Tech Institute is presenting. I heard they have a breakthrough in predictive driving. If we partner with them, it could save the IPO. Derrick followed her gaze. The crowd around the main stage was massive, spilling out into the aisles. Investors were practically climbing over each other to get a view. Fine. Let's get to the front, he muttered, pushing his way through the crowd. They managed to squeeze into the second row just as the lights dimmed. A massive screen illuminated the stage, displaying flawlessly executed simulation data of an AI vehicle navigating a complex, unpredictable urban environment in a blizzard. Derrick's breath caught. The architecture. It was perfect. It was exactly what Vantral was missing. It was a masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed. Please welcome the lead architect of the Neural Predictive Matrix, representing the Zurich Institute, Dr. Yara Yenford. Derrick's heart stopped. The crowd erupted into applause. From the side of the stage I walked out. I was wearing a tailored navy blue suit, My hair cut into a sharp, sleek bob. I carried no notes. I held a remote clicker in one hand and a calm, commanding smile on my face. I looked nothing like the exhausted, stressed, emotionally drained woman who used to fetch Derrick his coffee. I looked like a king. Good morning. I spoke into the microphone, my voice echoing through the massive hall. 3 months ago, the industry believed that true localized predictive driving was impossible without cloud reliance. Today, I'm going to show you why they were wrong. Derrick stood frozen, his eyes wide, completely paralyzed. No way. Molly gasped next to him, her face draining of color. That cheese. For the next 45 minutes, I owned the room. I broke down complex algorithms with ease, fielded questions from industry titans, and secured the undivided attention of every billionaire in the room. I was radiant. I was in my element. Derrick watched me, and for the first time in his life, he didn't see an extension of himself. He didn't see an assistant. He saw a titan. And he realized, with a sickening wave of nausea, that he had thrown away a diamond to pick up a rock. As my presentation concluded to a standing ovation, investors rushed the stage. Derrick shoved his way through the crowd, his panic overriding his pride. Yara. I was shaking hands with the CEO of a major automotive group when I heard my name. I turned. Derrick was fighting off a security guard to get to the steps. His suit was rumpled. He looked desperate. Molly trailed behind him, looking like a deer in headlights. I gave the automotive CEO a polite smile. Excuse me for a moment. I walked to the edge of the stage, looking down at Derrick. Yara, he breathed, looking up at me like a drowning man looking at a lifeboat. You're here. You're the lead architect. Dr. Yenford. I corrected smoothly. Can I help you, Mr. Cromwell? The formality felt like a slap to his face. He flinched. Yara, stop. Please. I know you're angry, but we need to talk. Alone. I've been looking everywhere for you. I can't imagine why. As I recall, you told me if I walked out the door, you'd cut me off. You kept your word, I kept mine. I glanced at my watch. I have a closed-door bidding war to attend in 10 minutes. If Vantral Corp wishes to bid on our licensing rights, you can speak to my team. Though, fair warning, the buy-in starts at 50 million. Molly stepped forward, trying to muster her old arrogance. Yara, don't be ridiculous. Derrick is your fiancé. You owe Vantral this tech. You started it while you were on our payroll. The entire VIP section went dead silent. A few executives turned to look at Molly like she was insane. I didn't get angry. I just laughed. A genuine, bright laugh. My fiancé? I looked at Derrick. Did you forget to tell her, Derrick? Or are you just that delusional? I signaled to Professor Harrington, who handed me a sleek black folder. I opened it and pulled out a legal document, holding it up for Derrick to see. It was the intellectual property release form. Vantral's legal team signed away all rights to my unfinished proprietary code the day my resignation was processed. You deemed it useless without my supervision. Remember? I smiled, my eyes locking onto Derrick's horrified face. As for the fiancé part, my ring has been sitting in your desk drawer for 3 months. You really haven't opened it, have you? Derrick looked like he was going to vomit. Yar. I was wrong. Okay? I was wrong. I admit it. He actually said it. The great Derrick Cromwell, admitting fault in front of 100 people. Molly is fired, Derrick said suddenly, his voice cracking with desperation. What? Molly shrieked, grabbing his arm. Derrick, you can't. Shut up. Derrick snarled, shoving her hand off him. He looked back up at me, his eyes pleading. I'll fire her. Right now. I'll give you your old job back. I'll make you CTO. I'll give you equity. Yara, please. Vantral is going under. I need you. He didn't say I love you. He didn't say I miss you. He said I need you because his company was failing. That was Derrick. That would always be Derrick. I looked down at him, feeling absolutely nothing. The love I used to have for this man was so dead and buried I couldn't even remember what it felt like. You don't need me, Derrick. You have Molly. She knows more than anyone, remember? She really puts the company first. I quoted his own words back to him, watching them land like physical blows. I turned away from the edge of the stage. Yara, please. Derrick yelled, his voice echoing through the hall, pathetic and hollow. You can't do this to me. We spent 5 years together. I stopped, looking over my shoulder one last time. 5 years, I said softly, though the microphone carried it perfectly. And it took me 3 days to get over you. Goodbye, Derrick. Chapter 10. The aftermath was a bloodbath. I didn't watch it happen, but the business world is small, and news travels fast. Professor Harrington and I sold the exclusive rights to the neural predictive matrix to a massive European conglomerate for a record-breaking sum. I was promoted to head of research at Zurich, given my own lab, and named one of the top 30 innovators under 30. Vantral Corp, on the other hand, bled out. Without my technology to back up their promises, their IPO collapsed. The investors who had bought into the hype sued for fraud. The board of directors held an emergency meeting and voted Derrick out as CEO. He was stripped of his shares, ousted from the company he built, and left with crippling legal debt. As for Molly, she tried to sue Derrick for wrongful termination. It dragged them both through a very public, very humiliating legal battle where all their dirty laundry, the favoritism, the nepotism, the sheer incompetence, was aired out for the world to see. They destroyed each other. I was sitting in a cafe in Geneva, sipping a latte and reading the latest tech journal, when my phone buzzed. It was an email from an unknown address. Subject: I'm sorry, Yara. I know you probably won't read this. I lost everything. Ventral is gone. The apartment is gone. I am facing bankruptcy. Every day I wake up and I see that moment in my office when you handed me the resignation, and I realize how blind I was. You were the only real thing in my life, and I treated you like a shadow. If there is any part of you that still remembers the man you met in college, please, just talk to me. Just one coffee, Derrick. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. I thought about the days I used to cry myself to sleep, the days I felt like I was shrinking, the days I let his silence dictate my worth. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired of him. I tapped the screen, hit delete, and permanently blocked the email address. Then I put my phone face down on the table, picked up my pen, and went back to writing my next groundbreaking proposal. The sun was shining in Geneva. The coffee was perfect. And for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Clean cut. Nothing left. Only the future.